Today, Great.com talks with Katiana Anglade, who is the Development and Operations Director at Lambi Fund of Haiti. If you haven't heard of them, they are a non-profit organization on a mission to assist the popular democratic movement in Haiti. If you are new here, please press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app, because today we learn why supporting and educating communities in Haiti is so important. Hello, Katiana, and welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and I really look forward to going a bit deeper in this conversation and just learning a bit more about your organization and what you do. So,
Awesome.
To start with, for me and anybody new here, what is Lambi Fund and what do you do?
Well, Lambi Fund is a nonprofit organization. We are based out of Washington, D.C. Back in about 1993, 1994, a group of Haitian Americans, people who migrated from Haiti to the U.S., as well as their American friends, decided, you know what, Haiti needs help, but not in the sense where we just want to hand things out to communities, because we do understand that the system of handing things out doesn't work permanently. It doesn't create any type of sustainability in the communities we serve. So they came up with this idea, with the mission and vision to build Lambi Fund, also with the model that we work from a bottom-up approach. So everything that we do in Haiti comes from the people that we serve. So we don't go in and say, you know what, I have a desire to donate paper towels, or I have a desire to donate medical supplies. This is what I'm going to give. No, it doesn't work that way. Our community members or the organizations in Haiti, the grassroots organizations, come to us and they say, you know what, we have land that is good for growing corn, but we don't have the finances to be able to get the supplies that we need, or we don't have the necessary technical education or technical know-how to build a farming project or agricultural project where we can make it sustainable for our communities. Can you help us? That's where we come in. So we're not really calling the shots. We are providing education. We're providing training, management skills, and the funds, of course, but it comes from them, the people that we serve.
Wow. Yes, I absolutely love that. And how you said that you are there to provide them with the funds, etc. And it all comes from Haiti as well, which is really nice. So why would you say that this is so important, what you do?
Well, it's important because, as we know, and as history tells us, Haiti is underdeveloped. But a lot of places, a lot of rural communities are often left to the side. They don't get heard of. Most of what you see on the news is centered in Port-au-Prince, in the capital. But the majority of the people, the population, is out in the countryside. So we specifically target, for lack of a better term, rural communities. We don't have any projects in the city or in the capital. So it's important because that's where people are. That's where the people are. There's a clump or of people in the city. The population is dense. It's really dense, but that's not where people are doing the work. That's not where the agricultural sector is, where it needs to be grown and supported. So that's why our work is important. Our work is also important because without it, a lot of these communities wouldn't have a chance. There's nothing. They're not getting any assistance from anyone. They're struggling on their own. And the fact of the matter is the people do want to work. They want to support themselves. They don't just want the handouts. They don't just want people to donate things. They want to be able to take care of themselves and their families, send their kids to school without having to worry about how they're going to pay their tuition. They want to be able to put food on the table. So it is important because without this work, without supporters of Lambi Fund, we wouldn't be able to give back to those communities and help them and say, you know what, after 2 years of our project, we can walk away and say, you guys are good. You can continue on and grow off of what we've already helped you to start.
Yeah, and I liked what you said there about the people, say, in the more rural areas of Haiti. They actually want to work, but they need that support there too. So, for instance, how does it go from, say, it could be, say, a farmer out in the fields? How does he go from, say, needing the support to getting into contact with you guys?
So if they've heard of Lambi And that's one of the things that works for us because our reputation speaks for itself. We're a non-political group, non-religious or anything. We are just, as people say, Switzerland. We are neutral in everything. So when they reach out to us, if they haven't already, or sometimes they already know, it starts with a grassroots organization. They have to have had something started within their communities first for us to even take them on or to consider partnering with them. So we don't partner with individuals. These are people who have already started to put their heads together. Mette tête ensemble, as we say in Creole, put their heads together and said, you know what, our community needs to do better. And it's up to us to build it. It's up to us to help us to thrive and survive. So they've already started to work with each other. If it's like community credit funds or, lending money to different members, they already have that set up. They just want to take what they're doing to a new level or to a higher level. So they'd start like that and say, we have this organization. It's like a community club or a community outreach thing. We do this together. We have other projects we've done. We meet on a regular basis. It's community building, number one. That's the foundation of it. So we want to take this to a new level, or we want to start a new project. How can you help us? That's how they would approach us. Or they say, we want to, like I said, with the corn. So we have this field that we put together. We purchased it together. Everybody put in some money. We purchased this land. We want to build on it, or we want to grow crops on it. How can you help us to do that? So that's where they'd start.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing that with us, because I really like the feeling of, say, community and bringing people together, because when people can work together, it's that sort of family type feel, and everyone's there working with each other to bring each other up, sort of support and elevate each other. And I honestly believe, like, the word team stands for together, everyone achieves more. And by the sounds of it, that's what it's like. Everyone's in this big team. So
exactly.
the next question would be sort of like you said a moment ago, since its founding in sort of 1993/94, what have been, say, some of your greatest challenges, and how did you overcome them?
I think some of our greatest challenges with any of our projects is access to materials. The same way, the members or the community members or organization members struggle to find seeds or, planting supplies, shovels, etc., things like that. Sometimes we come across the same issues, but we have more access to be able to cross the borders, or, reach out to other companies or suppliers in other countries to say, we need to order a set amount of shovels or set amount of buckets or whatever it is, or seedlings. We have a little bit more flexibility and reach to get them what they need for those specific projects. Another one of our major issues now, with all of the instability in Haiti and lack of security, is actually being able to travel to these organizations and being able to go and see them. Because again, we're based in DC, but our main office in Haiti is in Port-au-Prince. It's in the center of everything. So because all of our projects are in rural Haiti, we have to travel a lot. Our field director or program director down there, they travel a lot into the field to actually maintain and monitor some of the projects, or most of the projects. Because the roads are unsafe to travel right now, they're unable to get out. So what we do have are regional monitors out in the countryside. We have one up north, one down south as well, who's centered around everything. So because when our field director can't make it out to the projects, we have to depend wholly on those regional monitors. They've been worked kind of to the bone the past year or so, especially with COVID also, where everything was shut down. While everything was shut down, we still had to work. People were still planting. People were still harvesting their crops. People still had to make a living for themselves. Although they were in quarantine, they couldn't stop. We didn't have that luxury to be able to put everything on pause and sit still. So, we had to depend wholly on our monitor. So we kind of bend and sway in whatever direction or whatever way we need to make sure that they're still taken care of and we're not leaving them out to dry.
Yeah, and by the sounds of what you're saying there, it's like you guys have to be sort of very flexible to pivot and adjust to meet the needs of, say, the communities. And also, yeah, it sounds to me like you guys are sort of like the bridge between the communities and then their needs. Like, you come and sort of fill that gap, and sort of assist them with their needs. But then I noticed you sort of touched on the whole COVID situation. So just maybe one or two sort of impacts. What have been some sort of impacts that with the COVID? Obviously, you said that the traveling situation where you couldn't travel as much. Like, is there anything else that's impacted what you guys do at all with the COVID?
You know, not necessarily with our work, more with ordering and being able to purchase what we need to, because all the borders were shut down at one point too, and the whole country was on lockdown. Quarantine here in the US, I'm in the US, I'm in New York. Quarantine here in the US was different. We still had the internet. You know, if we had to go out, we just went out with masks or, you know, social distancing and stuff like that. There wasn't anything like that. So being able to access or get the supplies that we needed for these projects, that was kind of halted. And it just caused a delay. It didn't stop everything. There were a lot of delays caused. And because the roads were shut down, we weren't able to, you know, transport the supplies of what we needed in the field to the projects or to the monitors. So everything, it caused more of a delay than anything else. And then also with COVID, there wasn't much of a response on a more countrywide level. So everything that our members learned was from us. We definitely had to pivot in that sense and create or come up with a COVID response emergency program where we went out and, you know, we had a truck driving by with like a PSA, a public service announcement. It was like a commercial on wheels where we were going over, this is what COVID is. This is what Corona is. This is how you need to protect yourself. So we had this truck driving in different communities because a lot of people don't have access to television. A lot of people didn't have access to internet. Internet is just shaky. Electricity is shaky still in the countryside. So we had this truck going around and we had different meetings with community leaders so that it was kind of like a train the trainer situation where we told them, and we had a doctor come out and a nurse and explain to them, this is how you can protect yourself. This is what PPE is. We provided almost 3,000 masks to the community members and showed them how to make them. So then they can go back and feel a little bit more at ease and at peace, understanding, okay, well, this is what Corona is, or this is what the virus is. This is how we can protect ourselves. And they bring it back to their family members. They bring it back to their communities. So we definitely pivoted in that sense. We don't do medical programs. We don't really do that stuff for healthcare, but we had to do something because a lot of our members, a lot of our partners had nothing else to depend on. They were just kind of in the dark.
Yeah, that's so nice that you guys were there for obviously the support with, say, the masks, but also, like you say, with the educational side of it, going around with the van, etc., to allow people to understand what is going on. So that's really nice. What maybe I'll say some of the biggest needs of the communities that you support?
Mostly access to some of the things that we are kind of out of our reach. Access to electricity, access to clean, potable water has always been an issue. Even with some of the projects that we do support, the agricultural projects, there has to be a portion of it where we come up with, irrigation systems. Because if they don't have access to water, how are they going to plant these seedlings? How are they going to actually help them to grow? So every project has an additional piece sometimes that we have to add on to it. Water is one of our biggest issues. Access to water, because a lot of the countryside and a lot of the programs or our partners are kind of up on the mountains. So they don't have access to clean running water. We've had to build cisterns in several different areas where it collects the rainwater, purifies it so that they can use it in turn to cook or to clean or to bathe or whatever they need to do, because there was no access to that. I think water is life, actually. Water is life. And that is one of our biggest issues where we can see around across the board, really, access to clean water.
So, yeah, I mean, we just take clean water for granted, right? So yeah, again, that's just so nice to hear that you guys are sort of just helping on that side of it too. So what maybe have been, say, some of your greatest success stories, or one of your greatest success stories that you could just think of at the moment?
Recently, I think recently with Corona, with the whole COVID-19 virus, we had a meeting at one point with some of the community members or the organization leaders, where two people from each organization would come, and we met in one central location. It was outside. We had to do it outdoors, obviously, to maintain social distancing, so everybody wasn't kind of clumped up one on another, one on top of the other. So with that, at the end, they asked, how did you feel? What did you learn from this program? What did you learn just from this short meeting? And one of the members said, we had nothing. We had no hope before Lambi came. All we know is what people are saying based off of speculation. This virus kills. The virus kills people who are diabetic. The virus kills people who have high blood pressure. But no one knew, how can we protect ourselves, or how can we help our family members so that they don't get sick? All they knew was, if I have diabetes and I catch this disease, or I catch this virus, I'm going to die. It's over. There's nothing else that anybody can do. And in her words, she just said, Lambi is our president. Lambi's like our governing body, because without them, we wouldn't have known anything. We just would have been in the dark. So I think that's more, it's fulfilling in a sense, because something that we thought wasn't really big, although this is not something that we concentrate on, this is not our focus, we had to pivot and do that so that we can at least provide them with something where we thought maybe it's not, we wished we could be doing more, but to them, that was a lot. To them, it was a lot, because it was like, we're just in the dark and we don't know what's going on. And imagine us, we're here in the US hearing it. The stress alone of hearing what was going on with the virus was overwhelming. Imagine being in a country where you don't have access to steady healthcare, where there aren't hospitals, there aren't enough clinics. So you could say, I'm going to walk into this clinic to get tested to see if I have the virus, and then I'll know this person needs to quarantine. There was none of that. They don't have that to depend on. So they're really just on their own. So the little bit that we did do with the support of our own supporters, it was a lot to them.
Yeah, I'm really sure it was like so much to those, because again, like, we can just say get instant access to news, etc. And I'm sure with you guys helping there, it sort of helped reduce a lot of, say, mental health issues, even sort of anxiety, I guess, because there must have been severe anxiety of people with the unknown and not knowing what is actually really going on. So yeah, that is, in my eyes, a really success story there. So sort of just wrapping this up and just sort of finishing off slightly, what, say, is your vision for the future?
At this point with Lambi, we want to expand in a sense where we can provide more for the future generations to come, and show them and help them to understand the importance in the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector in Haiti has lost the support that it needs. Again, Haiti has everything it needs as far as, natural resources and stuff. Mentally, people are ready. Their resilience, it provides them the strength that they need to go on and to do what they need to, but it's access to certain materials that needs to be handled, or that needs to be rectified. So with bringing the importance back into the agricultural sector, we're hoping that we can help people understand, as far as reforestation, also fruit trees, vegetable trees. We're hoping to help the younger generation to appreciate more the fact that we can actually take care of ourselves. We can feed ourselves down there. We just need that little bit of support, that little bit of a push and access to the materials that we need to be able to do that. Because it's not like we don't have the land. We have the land to be able to do it. We have the people who are willing to put their hands in and to put their blood and their sweat into it, to do that and to feed their families and to feed their communities. We just need to be able to access the materials for them and help them to understand, if we put energy into this and make this a priority again, we'll be able to feed ourselves and feed the country.
Yeah, again, that's so beautiful to hear that, because these guys and say men and women out there that are wanting to provide for their family, they just need that sort of little helping hand, that piece of support. So for anybody, say, listening today, what can somebody do to help, and what action steps can they take to be a part of the solution?
Well, you can always visit our website. It's www.lambifund.org. And there is a tab there. You can either donate. Of course, that always helps. Anybody who wishes to donate to any of our projects can donate to general support. That covers the majority of the projects that we support in Haiti. And of course, spread the word. Share who we are. Share our, we have an Instagram page. We have a Facebook page. It's Lambi Fund. Anybody could look it up. The more and more people that share what we're doing, that helps a lot with our advocacy part of our project. People need to know what we're doing and know that we're here to be able to say, okay, this is an organization and this is work that I want to support. And they'll understand that this is not just a handout, it's a hand up. So they'll know. Some people ask, we've been donating for Haiti for so long and nothing has changed. It's because you're not seeing what Haiti really is and all of Haiti. All you're seeing is a capital. But if they understood that there are organizations like Lambi who are doing sustainable work down there, sustainable development work, environmental development work, agricultural support work, they would want to support it more because they know once we leave, after the 2 years is done and we evaluate these projects, the people that we're helping, the members that we're helping, they can continue to support themselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. And thank you so much. And I really love what you said there. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. So yeah, that was really nice. And for you listening, if you've enjoyed this episode, please press subscribe on YouTube or on your podcast app. That will show the algorithms that this is an important conversation so more people can learn the importance of helping the people of Haiti.